Well, good morning, hope you're all doing all right. So we've come back up to Latrig. I think the last time I was here I was with Bri Barnum. I've just come up with my mate Adrian. We've come for a bit of a scout around this morning, see what the light's like. It's looking really nice back this way. If you can just see behind me there, it's looking really nice. Of course, sun's rising that way and the scene's that way, which isn't ideal, but there's lots of cloud around the scene, lots of high level cloud, which I think stands a really good chance of starting to catch when this comes up a bit further. Absolutely beautiful scene. Similar sort of problems to last time we were here though with Brian, in that this scene seems to, you'd really never get a clear shot. It's always got a little bit of haze in the background and there's no real way of eliminating that really. The only way that I found last time is to use a polarizer just to try and reduce a bit of that haze. Either way though, it's a really, really nice shot, I think anyway, and I was just hoping for some better light than we got last time, and because the clouds are so interesting, I think we stand a good chance of that this morning. As I say, just hoping this light carries on and carries forward onto the scene in front of me. But we'll get set up, try and get my shot framed. I've got a pretty good idea of where I want the shot, and I'll take you to the back of the camera and walk you through it. Yeah, so as we found last time, I've just popped a polarizer on here and it does help just to take a little bit of that haze out of the background there. That's kind of what I learned last time, is that it's kind of got a dual purpose. It reduces a bit of the reflection out on the lake down there, and it also just eliminates a bit of that haze just ever so slightly. It's kind of looking half promising. All the colours faded from back that way now, so I'm hoping that something appears as the sun starts to rise through the gap over there. Right, so far this is what I've got on the back of the camera. You can see the light's not really playing ball, and over here I've got the lake kind of almost off to the right slightly, and the hills are just back on this point here either side of the image. Just try to sort of frame it and get a central point in there. Hopefully you can see that, but the light's not played ball at all. The light that I just showed you before, where it was going off with the sunrise before, lasted seconds. It just disappeared really fast. So really, the light's gone completely flat. There's not a great deal going on. So what I've tried is I put a 10-stop filter in just to capture a bit of the movement of these clouds in the top section of the image. And it came out at about a 2-minute exposure. And I'll pop that image up for you now if it's turned out. So it's been one of those mornings where the light hasn't really played ball at all, and there's not a lot you can really do about it really. But as you can see now, we've packed everything away and heading back down, and there's actually some nice reflected light coming down in the valleys now, so just a case of might just stay around a little longer. We're going to go and take off and get a coffee or something, but you never know, we might get something. It's nothing special, but there might be something dramatic anyway, because the rain's starting to push through now as well. If anything happens, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Well, good morning, and I hope you're all doing well. So yesterday you would have seen me out on the fells at Latrig in the Lake District. And the purpose of the video I wanted to really get across is that you don't always get that shot. Every time we go out, the reality of being a landscape photographer is you're not guaranteed a shot. You've got to go out, you've got to kind of push yourself to go out. It's not that easy when you're having to get up at silly o'clock in the morning to push yourself out. And then you get to a location and the weather just isn't ideal. The cloud cover doesn't work as you would have liked, or the sunrise doesn't light up like you would have liked. you can't guarantee anything. You can plan for it and you can hope that it happens, but you're never guaranteed. So unless you're prepared to actually get up and go out and try it, you're never going to get those images. On the other hand though, you have to always have in the back of your mind is to not get overly disappointed by the fact that you haven't captured a shot. You can get a shot and it might not be what you expected, but what you have to look at is you've got out. You're out in nature, you're out in the wide countryside, you've experienced something. The image isn't always it. Now, it's really easy to get sucked into the whole sort of belief that we all capture brilliant shots every time we go out, especially on YouTube, because a lot of the time we only show our best shots and the shots that we're most happy with. And I think it's sometimes really important, especially for everybody and you guys especially, is to know that it doesn't always work like that. We all fail. Every time I go out, in fact, every other time I'll probably fail, probably more than that, to be honest with you. But you've got to get out there and try it. That's the whole point of it. If you're not there, you're not going to capture the shot. So I think it was a really important sort of look at how we work as landscape photographers out in the field, is that we're never guaranteed that shot. So anyway, moving on from that, today I've come out to a woodland today to try and get something different. This is the reality as well, is one day we don't get a shot, the next day we'll try again. And so it carries on. You've just got to keep pushing yourself out there. So I found this subject today, this massive great big beech tree behind me, completely different shot from what I was shooting yesterday, but that's the beauty of it. That's what I like. I like something different. I don't like to be shooting the same things over and over again. It forces me into being more creative, I think, and looking at things differently. I love being out in the woods. It's sort of a nice sort of peaceful, quiet environment. So yeah, I thought I'd capture one of these shots today, and this tree really stood out to me. It looks lovely. It's got some nice light from above, and it's being sort of backlit. All those branches behind there are all backlit, so it's kind of given the tree separation from the background. So I'll get set up and we'll get sorted, and I'll get you to the back of the camera and show you what I'm looking at. So I'm really hoping that you can see this. So obviously I've got the tree sort of almost centralised, but it's leaning off towards the left-hand corner, sorry. And you've got open patches of sky up here, which are letting a bit of light through. I've also got, every now and then, when it gets in the right place, I've got a sun star appearing through the branches up here, and it looks absolutely beautiful. The other thing I'm trying is I've got some black mist filters, so I've trying a quarter of a stop with the black mist filter and also an eighth of a stop, just to try and experiment a little bit. I've seen it done before and I quite like the look of it. It gives the image a whole sort of ethereal feel to it without actually processing it. So I thought I'd give that a try as well, and it softens all these highlights. It makes them spill over onto the branches and everything. Where they would normally blow out and be quite harsh looking, it softens them right down and almost makes the light spill onto these branches, which I really, really love. So yeah, I've got it at f16 at the minute, and the reason for that is because, number one, I want the whole image sharp, and number two, I want as much of that sun star in there as I possibly can. It's at ISO 100, and I'm at about a 1/10 of a second at the minute, somewhere around there. And I'm also shooting 3 stops below as well, just to try and control these highlights up here a bit more. So I've basically underexposing it. I can bring that back up no problem later on in post, but I want to underexpose it so I don't lose all this detail up here. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how this comes out. So what I'll do is, if this image has worked out okay, I'll pop an image up with the black mist filter, and I'll also pop an image up without, just so you can see the differences and what effect it has out in the woodland here. Now I've found one last shot before we finish, just walking through the woodland and seeing what I could find. And I'm going to use this path, pretty obvious. Use the path as a leading line right the way through the scene, but I'm going to stick it over to one side. I don't want it right the way down the middle. I've separated these trees either side as best as I can, and all the ones in the background, I've separated those as well so that they're not overlapping as best as I can. I've moved around, got the camera into position. I'll take it to the back of the camera now and show you what I'm seeing from that angle. But yeah, I think it's quite a nice scene. There's no really bright sort of harsh highlights hitting anywhere. So what I'll try is, I'll try the black mist filter again. I'll try a shot without it and I'll try a shot with it and see which works best. I'm gonna keep doing that as I'm experimenting with them actually, is just to keep taking a shot for each in case I don't like it, because the trouble is using a filter like that is once you put it on, there's no way of getting rid of it in post. So it's getting into the habit of taking a shot with it and a shot without it and then seeing which works best. And then maybe even you could blend a bit of each. So hopefully you'll be able to see the back of the camera again. It's pretty difficult in conditions like this to make sure you can actually see the back of the screen, but I've got the path just off to the right hand side of the frame slightly. And I'm just waiting at the minute because as you can see up the top and round the bottom here, there's some quite harsh highlights to which there wasn't before. So I'm just waiting for the sun to kind of move a little bit further across behind a tree or something like that and just darken down some of these bright patches throughout the scene. Really, I think it might be better if it wasn't quite as bright, but I'm going to take a couple of shots anyway and see what it turns out like, and at least I've got it out for a record shot if nothing else then. And if it doesn't look as though it's going to be great today, I can always return on a different day when the conditions are better. But I'm going to give it a little while and see if that works out there. It's just these bright spots I'm not too keen on. So we'll give it a go and see if it turns out. And if I manage to get the shot, I'll pop it up now for you. Right guys, I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. I just wanted to kind of get the message across really, that we all make mistakes. The conditions aren't always great. It's not easy trying to get an image, so don't honestly think that every time we go out we get a brilliant image, because it's just simply not the case. The main thing is to go out and enjoy the great outdoors. That's the main thing for me, is to just get out and experience it all. And if you get an image, all the better. Right, hope you've enjoyed it guys. I'll see you on next week's video. Take care. Bye bye.